I think my writing comes out of anger and optimism. Anger at the stupid, maniacal, or corrupt crowd that's running the world at present, and optimistic about the opportunities that are so real. This, as I say, is the result of my outrage, my horror, my grief, and my anger at the way the world has been going lately, and my continued optimism that maybe enough people can wake up on time to change the direction we're going in. So I got both optimism and anger, which I think is a good mixture. It keeps me busy anyway. I have a lot of hope. I may be the last optimist left on the planet for all I know. But at the same time, I see really terrible problems and injustices and violence all over the place. I just think we're heading for a point at which that will no longer be viable. Somehow we're going to have to find a more decent form of society if we're going to survive at all.
You can only write about what has impinged upon your nervous system strongly enough to leave a powerful imprint. And when I was 12 years old, they opened the Nazi annihilation camps. I think that's a very vulnerable age for imprints. I grew up feeling I was living in a race of monsters. And I've lived all through the Cold War, the Vietnam War, and a lot of other tragedies, personal and otherwise, and I can't write fiction without violence in it because violence is so much part of the world I've lived in.
It's obvious they're getting closer and closer to the edge where they can cure anything. Meanwhile, the world is moving closer and closer to the edge where they can kill us all. It's very interesting. Science is going in one direction and the politics is going in the other. I'm still an optimist. I think eventually people give up doing stupid things. It's like walking into a wall over and over. Eventually you start looking for the door and you do something intelligent. The human race has to do something intelligent in the next 10 to 20 years, and it just can't go on screwing up everything.
We're living among infinite possibilities, and the prevalent philosophies of postmodernist pessimism that come out of the universities are really a major tragedy. The opportunities for progress and change of a positive nature are absolutely tremendous. And anybody who tells you that we're running out of resources, we're in a terrible mess, they're idiots. We can't run out of resources. Resources exist when the human mind sees how to use something. To say we're running out of resources is like saying we're running out of brain cells.
I don't know why so many people spend so much time in a pessimistic reality tunnel. It's a miserable place to live. But some people feel if they leave it, they feel guilty. If you're not in a pessimistic tunnel, you're not responsible. But once I get out of it, I never wanted to go back into it again.
As far as I know, I'm the only survivor of the 60s who was just as angry and just as optimistic as I was then. Besides, until I die, I might as well be optimistic. Every day you got choices to make, and the more optimistic you feel, the more likely you are to make charitable and kindly choices rather than angry and bitter ones. If you want to be the most depressed person in the world, get up every morning, remind yourself George Bush is still in the White House, and then listen to CNN for a while, where you'll find out that American bombers are pounding another part of Afghanistan. But if you think about George Bush and other gloomy things every day, eventually you get pessimistic enough that eventually you'll take an overdose of the sedatives your doctor gave you to control your depression. Then you'll be out of it. The main rule is do it every day. Want to become a concert pianist? Do it every day. Want to be a writer? Do it every day. Want to become depressed? Think of depressing thoughts every day. Want to become an optimist? Think of cheerful thoughts every day. Do it every day. I think over the course of my life, I have evolved from a basically rational person to a basically intuitive person, without completely losing my reason, I hope. And intuitive people do tend to live in the future. I don't believe in golden ages. I don't believe in the past. But I think a golden age is possible in the future, and why not try for it? I think Bernard Shaw calls it the life force. I got this tremendous drive to try to do what I can to add my contribution to making a much better future than the history of humanity has been up until the present. And I think the joy of art is trying to convey what you perceive so that other people will perceive it more or less the same way. Art is a form of seduction. I mean, there are rapists in the intellectual world. They become politicians. The seducers become artists. We try to seduce people into our reality tunnel instead of leading them there with a gun. But we are trying to get them into our reality tunnel or our reality labyrinth, or whichever it is. In my case, it's a reality labyrinth.
Bob is a wise man, and that's the way he is in person, and that's the way he is in his writings, and that's the way he is on stage.